Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am JM, and this is a show where we hang out. We talk about things that we love, things that are beautiful, things that we enjoy. And that's always going to be the focus of this show. So, today we're going over the second half of the top 10 list of reasons you should be playing Savage Worlds this year. And I realize it's kind of misnomer because I did 5 in part 1 and 5 in part 2, but they add up to 10. I feel like that's fine and that's okay. Good morning to Mark and good morning to Tink. Good to see you both. So the reason I'm doing this is kind of a pushback against, like, I know that a lot of people do their top 5 lists, top 5 games that they love, top 5 books, all of these things. And I've seen a lot of them and I enjoy them. They're a nice succinct way of encapsulating why you may want to try this new game and why you may want to do something else. But this is really inspired by, this is a reaction to somebody's top 10 or 15 games you should immediately stop playing in 2024 so that you can play Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, listen, I love Dungeons and Dragons, but we're going to talk about that next Thursday on Beauty and the Anti-Fan. And so I was like, well, I want to talk about things that I love about Savage Worlds. And you know what? I don't want to do just 5. I want to give a top 10 list because I'm crazy and an overachiever. So this is why, as a player, you might want to consider trying out Savage Worlds in 2024. And before we get into that, one of the number one comment I've received on the last video is the number one reason they don't play Savage Worlds is because they can't get their players to convert or try it out, or a lack of players. And that hurts my heart, hurts my soul. So I'm really going to be focusing on this for players, on why you might want to convince your GM, hey, I would like to try this game. And as always, if you need more Savage Worlds in your life, head over to the Gaming with Gage Discord server. You can go to, just Google Gaming with Gage, go to their website, get the link. I'll try and remember to put it in the show notes. They run Savage Worlds every Monday night. Swan, Savage Worlds Adventure Night. You can just jump in and try Savage Worlds as a player. They have a ton of GMs running games. So yeah. So, reason number 1. One system to rule them all. I have 2 number puns built into this list, and that's the first one. If you end up trying out Savage Worlds and liking it, you're only going to have one system to remember, no matter whether your GM is like, hey, this time I want to run something based off of the creator, so let's do some sci-fi AI games. Or let's play Deadlands, or let's play Savage Pathfinder. You've got one system to keep in mind. And I know that's one of the reasons that we see so many different Kickstarter projects, is that people are always trying to say, well, I love this game, I wish it would do X, let me convert it to X genre. And that's doable, especially with the right creative team and the right inspiration. But in general, it tends to feel like a reskinning of something that has come before. Savage Worlds' flexibility is designed to be, from the ground up, one system that can handle any type of game. So you get to learn it once, and then all you have to learn is like the setting rules and maybe new things you want to do for your character. Now, speaking of characters, number 2 is how flexible character creation is. If you want options, Savage Worlds has it for you. There are so many edges spread across so many books. And edges are like feats or abilities that give you the mechanical benefits that you want your character to have. Attributes and skills work just like they work in any other game. You have powers, and this adds to the flexibility. Instead of having Melf's Acid Arrow and Ray of Frost and Firebolt, and they have a power called Bolt, which is I do damage to one target. And you as the player get to decide how your bolt looks. I'm running a Savage Worlds game for 15 middle schoolers and grade schoolers at my son's school. It's a large group. And we got through 2 rounds of combat in the time we had last allotted, which was about an hour, which may not seem like it's fast, but let me tell you, with 15 people getting through 2 rounds of combat, in an hour, that's pretty freaking fast. But one of the players, she's a grade schooler. She used Bolt. She has psionic abilities. And I was like, well, what does your Bolt look like? And it was kind of adorable because she sat there with this look of like intense concentration on her face. And after about 15 seconds, I was like, it could look like this or it could look like this. And after about 30 seconds, some of the other players at the table were like, well, it could look like this and it could look like that. And right about the time where I'm like, I think I have to move on to the next person, she goes, I think I would like it. Oh, it was burst, so it's the little area of effect one. She's like, I think I would like it to look like a bunch of psychic killer wasps. And the whole table went wild with that. So you have flexible powers, and you get to decide what they look like. And if there's a synergy, like if you want a fireball and you're fighting an ice monster, the GM has the mechanical ability to give you bonuses when things work out like that. It's a little like playing Baldur's Gate 3 or Divinity Original Sin. If your opponent is standing in a puddle of water and you hit them with a lightning bolt, they should take extra damage. Grom, good to see you. And the last thing that rounds out your characters, aside from gear, which there is a lot of, are hindrances. Hindrances do two things. One, they give you points back during character creation to buy additional edges or skills. They're things like, I have a code of honor, or I'm bloodthirsty, or I don't run as fast, or I've got this scar that people notice. They can be arcane hindrances that speak to the different metaphysical ways that your character's a little bit off. And what they do is, in addition to providing you points for when you're making your character and role-playing cues, they give you bennies when they come up. And that brings us to number 3. Bennies. I can't tell you how much players love bennies in every game of Savage Worlds I've ever run. A benny is basically just a chip that says, I don't like that roll. I'm going to re-roll it. Or I don't want to take that wound. I'm going to try and soak it. And so you start with 3 and you get more as you do things in the game. If we're playing with John Doom, basically any 80s movies reference or 80s musical reference or pun nets us a benny until he finally is like, you guys have 7 or 8 bennies, I'm cutting you off. But generally, if you play your hindrances, if you're a team player, with the kids group I'm running, if you raise your hand and wait patiently as opposed to blurting something out, I'll give you a benny. And this allows you to succeed at the things you want your character to be good at. Don't like the fact that you failed that shot? Spend a benny. Want to take multiple actions but are a little worried about being able to overcome the -2 penalty? Spend a benny. Have a gambling problem and just want to spend all your bennies on the first roll of the night until you have no bennies left and will probably die for the rest of at any point during the rest of the session? Yeah, go for it. I don't know any player in my group who might do that for like notice roll or hide and go seek roll. That would be very amusing to have that player in my game. So yeah, bennies help make the game a lot of fun for the players because you don't always have to take that bad roll and do nothing on your turn. Like if you critically fail, nothing we can do for you. And there's ways for building your characters to enhance that. Like my character in our Savage Pathfinder game has a lawn, which is an edge that says when I spend a benny to re-roll, I get +2 to the final result. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to re-roll. Number 4. That's it. Number 4. If you've played Savage Worlds, then you know what I'm talking about. The target number for 90% of the game, except if you're attacking someone in melee or trying to overcome their toughness, is 4. That's it. That's the target number you have to remember. That's the DC you have to remember. You don't have to calculate your DC for personal spells. You don't have to figure out what the DC on a monster is. The target number is 4. Now, the GM can give bonuses or penalties, usually in factors of 2. So +2, -2, +4, -4. But that's what you have to remember. When you roll the dice, you don't have to go, well, what do I need again? It's a 4. Like 99% of the time, it's a 4. Now, in combat, when you're damaging somebody, yeah, that may change based off toughness and parry. But again, for the majority of the time, the number 4 is your friend. Now, again, you might have to, if you have a -2, okay, now I'm rolling for 6s so I can get a 4. If I have a +2, I only need a 2. But 4 is the target number you're looking for. Number 5 is that your GMs will love you. Again, based off the last comments, there are a lot of GMs who run the games their players want to play. And that's cool. Kudos to them. I'm very much more of the, here's the game I want to play, who wants to play it. But it can be tough for groups to break out of the mold of, hey, this is the game we got together playing, this is the game we've been playing for years. And I'll be honest, it's usually the GM who goes, I want to try something new. And it's usually the players who go. So if you go to your GM and say, hey, I've heard about this game, Savage Worlds, I'd really like to try it, would you consider running it for us? Guarantee that's going to open a door to you being the favorite at the table. I mean, you can quote me on that. Now, there are a couple of other things that are honorable mentions for players. In fact, you can soak damage is awesome. Like, you don't have to take the hit if you don't want to. Dice explodes. So you get really, really big numbers, and that's a lot of fun to sit around and enjoy as you're rolling your dice. And last but not least, it's pretty cheap to get into. Like, for your GM, or if you want the whole game, it's $40 for the rule book. That's it, $40. Nice small rule book, you're ready to go. But soon we will have access to the player's book for Deadlands, and that's not going to be as expensive, and that just covers all of the player rules that you'll need. So instead of having to drop $50 or $60 for a core rulebook, one, if you want the whole thing, it's $40, and if not, just wait for the player's book to come out, and that'll be available on Pinnacle's website sometime in the near future. So, yeah, the PDF is $10 right now on DriveThruRPG at the moment. That's the link that I'm going to have in the show notes. Let's see here. Tink says, hello, my name is Tink, and I have a Benny gambling problem. Tink, I wasn't going to say who it was. But yeah, it was definitely Tink. Yeah, Mark, that your Massive Intimidate was a ton of fun. Yesterday, watching the kids like roll their dice, and anytime there was an explosion or an acing, all of the kids would gather around and just start cheering. I think somebody only got like a 17 or an 18 was the highest roll of the game, but the crowd went wild, and it was awesome. So that is our look at the top 5 reasons you as a player should try and get your table to play Savage Worlds in 2024. Next week, on Tuesday, we're going to do our in-depth look at Terror on the Dark Frontier for Savage Rifts, the Savage Rifts plot point campaign that has just recently come out. And then we're going to do Beauty and the Anti-Fan on Thursday, a little essay discussion on kind of the state of fandoms today and why I think beauty is even more necessary now than ever. Saturday, we're going to have the return of Exploring Glorantha. So I'm looking forward to that. Not this Saturday, but Saturday the 24th. Evan and I will be back on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Central. And yeah, I think, and I just got the shipping notice that my horror companion is in the mail. So there will probably be a horror companion review at some point in the future. But I think in March, we're going to do a look at a couple of science fiction games that I love, because Dune's coming out, and I love science fiction. I'm in the middle of reading God Emperor of Dune, and yeah. So we're going to do a little look at science fiction games. And of course, if you know anything about Iconic Production, we cut our teeth on Fading Suns. that was really our big campaign that kind of launched us into where we are today. Oh man, I'm hoping mine gets here. I think mine's supposed to get here Saturday, Grom. I'm very excited. But it's only the horror companion. I ended up ordering Pine Box Middle School later, so I'm hoping to see Pine Box Middle School here before the end of the month. So that's where we're at. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I'm JM. This has been Behind the Screen, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Have a good one, everybody.